Nobody can tell me that this is a grieving widow. Like, this woman's husband was publicly assassinated, 3 weeks ago, and she's already sitting down with a smile to host his podcast? Girl didn't even wait a month. I don't even know if they buried the guy yet. Holy.
Breaking news, and this time, it's not just another scandal. It's a heartbreak the world never saw coming. They said she was powerful, untouchable, unbreakable. But behind those flashing cameras and perfect smiles was a woman screaming for help. For years, they sold us the image of fame, gold, glitter, and glory. But no one told us the price she paid for it. No one told us about the nights she cried alone, her voice breaking while the world cheered her name. They called it success. She called it survival. And now, after years of silence, Jaguar Wright is spoken, and her words have shattered everything. She didn't come with drama. She came with truth. The kind of truth that rips open wounds and leaves even the strongest souls trembling. You think they're happy? She said. You think they're living the dream? They're trapped, every single one of them. The lights, the luxury, the applause, it was all built on fear, control, and sacrifice. Behind every award, there's a secret. Behind every smile, a scream no one wants to hear. And when Jaguar Wright decided to speak, they tried to stop her, threatened her, erased her, silenced her. But she didn't back down. Because once a soul breaks, it stops fearing the dark. What she revealed next changed everything. This isn't gossip. This is the moment the mask finally fell off, and the truth started to bleed. They told her to smile. They told her to move on. But deep down, she knew what the world saw was only a mask, carefully stitched together with lies, fear, and money. The night before the story broke, the city slept under neon lights. Cameras were off, but whispers filled the air. Someone had seen the footage. Someone had heard the call.
And someone was ready to speak.
Jaguar Wright sat alone in a dark studio, one trembling hand on the mic. Her eyes, red from sleepless nights, stared straight into the lens. She wasn't here to entertain anymore. She was here to burn everything down. This isn't about fame, she said, voice cracking. It's about what they did to us, what they made us hide. What followed felt less like an interview and more like a confession. Names,
Dates,
secret meetings behind bulletproof doors, contracts signed in blood, sealed with silence. Every word hit like a thunderclap. They own everything, she whispered. Your songs, your image, your soul. And if you say no, they erase you. Viewers froze. Some cried. Others refused to believe it. But then proof surfaced. Clips leaked online. Hidden audio, muffled screams, a single name repeated over and over again. Charlie Kirk, the man everyone admired, the voice of the movement, the symbol of truth. But now his legacy was unraveling, thread by thread. Jaguar's words painted him not as a hero, but as a prisoner, controlled, monitored, used. And when he tried to fight back, the system turned on him. They said he took his own life. Jaguar continued, tears streaming down her face. But I saw what really happened. I saw who walked out of that room. The feed cut to static for a few seconds. When it returned, the comment section had exploded. #WhoKilledCharlie was everywhere. People demanded answers. Networks went silent. And the same faces who once smiled beside him on red carpets suddenly disappeared from the public eye. This was no longer a story about grief. It was a story about power, about the price of silence in a world built on illusions. Because when you sell your soul for fame, someone always comes to collect. And tonight, that bill was due. The morning after Jaguar's interview dropped, the internet broke. Millions woke up to the same question echoing across every feed. Was Charlie's death really an accident? Clips from the live stream flooded every corner of social media. Shaky reuploads, subtitles in a dozen languages, faces reacting in disbelief. People didn't just watch, they felt it. In a world addicted to filters and fake smiles, Jaguar's raw pain was too real to ignore. Her voice shook, but it carried fire, the kind of fire that burns everything in its path. They told me to shut up, she said, her hands trembling. They warned me that if I spoke, I disappear just like the rest. A long pause followed. You could hear her breathing, slow, uneven, like she was fighting ghosts only she could see. They took his voice, she whispered, but they'll never take mine. Then came the recording, the one everyone had been waiting for. It wasn't clear at first, just static, footsteps, and a man's voice saying, "Make sure the cameras are off." Then a gun clicks, a scream, silence. The screen went black, and the internet exploded. News anchors refused to air it. PR teams released statements denying everything. But the people had already seen too much. For the first time, the world started connecting the dots. The late-night accidents, the vanishing artists, the insane confessions that never saw the light of day. Jaguar had ripped the curtain wide open, and behind it stood the empire everyone worshipped, now trembling. "They think they're gods," she said through tears. But gods don't hide behind NDAs. Gods don't silence the truth. Every word felt like a blade, cutting through the illusion of perfection. The glitz, the awards, the smiling faces. All of it now looked tainted. And the people watching at home? They weren't just shocked. They were heartbroken. Because deep down, everyone realized, maybe this wasn't just Hollywood. Maybe this was the world we all helped build. A world where truth dies for views and loyalty is sold to the highest bidder. As the video ended, one final line from Jaguar echoed like thunder. They erased his voice. But his story will scream louder than ever. The feed cut again, and this time it wasn't static. It was the sound of millions waking up. Hours after Jaguar's revelation, the world thought it had seen everything. But then a new file surfaced. A folder labeled only the hidden tapes. No one knew who leaked it. Some said it came from an old assistant. Others whispered it was Jaguar herself. But what was inside wasn't meant for human eyes. The first video began in darkness, faint breathing, a door creaking open. Then, a man's voice. "This isn't supposed to get out. You know what happens if it does." The screen flickered. A group of familiar faces, producers, artists, the ones people grew up idolizing, sitting around a massive glass table. On that table, a single contract, a signature still wet with ink, and behind it, a photograph of Charlie. Someone laughed. He played his part. Now, let's move on. The laughter echoed. Then, silence. For the next 20 seconds, no one could breathe. It wasn't just betrayal, it was sacrifice. A man's career, a man's life, traded for profit, for power, for silence. The internet erupted again. Hashtag the hidden tapes hit #1 within minutes. People cried on live streams. Fans destroyed posters. Celebrities vanished from socials overnight. The empire was falling one secret at a time. Meanwhile, Jaguar posted one last message. No filters, no background music, just her face, pale and broken. "They told me to let it go, but how do you let go when you held the truth in your hands?" Her voice cracked. They buried him. They called it a tragedy. But it was never an accident. It was an exchange. A deal signed in silence and sealed in blood. Her tears fell, but her gaze never wavered. "If I disappear after this," she said, "don't let them write my story. You already know the truth."
That man. That young man. I forgive him.
The video ended, but something in the world shifted. No one looked at fame the same way again. The glitter had turned to ash. Every smile looked rehearsed. Every award speech, a confession. People whispered about the price of loyalty, about the cost of survival in a world where truth dies young. And somewhere out there, among the flashing lights and fading applause, a single voice still echoed. "They erased one of us, but they'll never silence all of us." The screen faded to black. The music stopped, but the pain stayed. And now, after hearing all of this, the real question is, how much more are they hiding? They thought the truth would never come out. They thought silence could bury everything. But once Jaguar Wright spoke, The walls started to crack, and what's behind those walls is even more terrifying than anyone could ever imagine. This is not just another story. This is not just gossip. This is the kind of truth that can shake industries, break careers, and expose the ugly faces behind the beautiful masks. But here's the thing. Voices like hers don't stay loud for long. They try to erase them. They try to bury them. And if you're watching this right now, it means you are one of the very few who knows what really goes on behind the curtain. So don't stay silent. If you believe people need to hear this, then comment below. Let your voice be louder than their lies. Hit the like button so this truth can travel further. Share this video so the world knows that not everyone is blind. And above all, subscribe, because the next chapter, it's bigger, darker, and far more dangerous than anything revealed so far. This is just the beginning.